Hello and welcome to the Game Theory Podcast. I'm your host, Sam Vicini. We are presented by CLNS Media. Today on the show, we've got good friend of the program making a triumphant return to the podcast, Reags from over at Barstool. How are we going, man?
Good, man. I'm back in my recliner, but basketball isn't on, so I don't really know what to do.
It's hell.
It's weird. Although, I will say, I was having this discussion with somebody today, and it is a good 2-day break because you almost do hit a hangover. Mm-hmm. And today was my hangover day.
Yeah, I feel like my hangover day was Sunday because I had to. For people who don't know, people who don't follow me online, Saturday was my anniversary, right, with Laura, and I had to go to San Diego Friday, come home Saturday morning, do the dinner, go out, have a great time on Saturday. It was awesome, so worth it. And then I had to drive back to San Diego on Sunday, and my hangover, I think, kicked in midway through Auburn just demolishing Clemson demolishing Auburn. That was the rough part.
2 bad games, too, in person.
2 bad games, and then the other games that I was there for, I swear to God, Charleston Auburn was the worst basketball game I think I've ever seen in my life, and I'm someone who sits through shitty AAU basketball a decent amount.
Yeah, that wasn't a good game.
That was really bad. What was the second game? Clemson, New Mexico State was never actually a game, really.
That was one of those just consistently 12 points.
Right, and then the same deal with West Virginia and Murray State. So I really only got the Marshall-Wichita game, which was fun.
That game almost made up for it, though.
It came close, yeah, seeing the John Elmore moment. That was super fun, but yeah, it was fine. I would prefer to stay home, I think, for games, to be honest. I
agree, because that's the bad thing, is you get stuck in San Diego with the shitty draw, and you miss out on the awesome draw in Charlotte or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I would rather, I was watching the games on my computer on Media Row.
That's just not the same.
It's not the same. Yeah, it's different. It's just not as fun. You want to be in front of 4 TVs watching them all at once, and
just completely missing one game because you forget to look out of your left eye.
Yeah. How did the pocketbook end up after the weekend, Reags?
I got murdered on Thursday.
Did you?
Just bloodbath on Thursday.
Yeah.
But I finished strong. Finished really strong. Marshall money line against Wichita helped.
Mm-hmm.
I put a bunch of live second half bets on Nevada's comeback against Texas.
Ooh, that was a good one.
So I had the Nevada just winning the second half, and it was only minus 160.
See, that's also the problem with being at games.
You can't do the live stuff as much,
right?
If at all.
Well, I can, but I only have so many screens in front of me, so I can't
if you get stuck in a game where you're it's an up and down game and it's a good one, you just you forget to double check what's going on.
Yeah, exactly. So that gets a little bit tricky for me.
The picks were good though. I went and added up because I made a pick against the spread for every game on Barstool, and I went 55%.
That's good. That's great.
And the round of 32, I went 6-2 and 5-3 on both days or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So it was good. It was definitely good.
My problem was I very clearly had a great read on the Thursday-Saturday slate, and very clearly had just an abysmal, terrible, awful read on the other slate.
We should have communicated more because I did very well on Friday, Sunday.
Yeah, clearly. I need to stop communicating with our other good friend of the program, Rob Doster. It was funny, man. We just got we weren't pulling our money or anything, but we were talking back and forth, and I was just oh my God, what is happening? Why do we keep I wasn't doing everything with him, but I kept winning money. I think I went probably 10-1 on Friday, and then something 6-2 or something on Saturday, and then I went probably 3-8 on Friday, and then 1-6 on Sunday. It was kind of funny. I got destroyed on those 2 days.
I went 5-7. Thursday I went 5-7. Friday 8-7-1. Saturday 6-2, Sunday 5-3 on picks on the blog.
Yeah, it was weird.
Now that's obviously not what I was all betting. It was just picks for every game. But
right.
Yeah, the Marshall money line was my favorite play.
That had to help, man. The one that killed me was under in Virginia and UMBC. That was the one. I needed that one. And it
over in Duke and Iona, I still am so mad about. Because even better, I had Duke and Iona first half over and then deleted the bet as I was making everything else.
I still think the funniest, speaking of Duke, was Marquise Bolden, patron saint of unders. Marquise Bolden just saved the hell out of an under at the end of that game. It was amazing. It was just absolutely perfect. He didn't dunk quick enough on a shot clock violation, got a shot clock violation. He got a traveling call. He blocked a shot on the other end, which was great. Right. And then got blocked himself on like a very, very easy turnaround. It was perfect. Like it was the most Marquise Bolden perfection thing I've ever seen.
It was I don't know. How did Duke and Iona score 92 points the first half and not score 63 points in the second half?
Dude, I know, because I had Duke over 97 or something in that game. What did they end with?
I think they ended at 92.
Whatever it was a half
93,
point.
93, something like that. Yeah.
It was a half point under whatever they had. And I was like, okay, they're at 62 before halftime. I'm fine. Whatever. This is cool. And I was like, okay, they're at 88 with 5 minutes left. Okay. They're at 90 at the under 4. I just need 2 buckets, whatever. And then they're at 92 with what, I guess, 10 seconds on the clock, and Justin Robinson goes to the foul line and misses 2 free throws.
Do you know what my favorite bet that I put in last week was, though?
What?
I got Jalen Brunson AP Player of the Year 6-1.
Ooh, that's a good one.
He was the favorite, and Bagley was the second favorite at 7-1.
The favorite was 6-1.
Yeah, and I was caught off guard. That's what it was. So I felt like something was up. So I didn't throw a whole lot on it, just enough to be excited. But it was only on my board, I think, through up until the games on Thursday, or maybe early afternoon Thursday, because I was thinking about it after Thursday. I was like, I might just go hammer this on Friday. I'm just going to double down on this dumb bet that I already have out there.
Yeah, that is.
And it was off the board, but I was like, all right, now my fear is that my money is in the hands of the AP, which I don't trust.
I would not trust them either.
Right.
But you know what? You know what, though? For a Jalen Brunson win, I would trust them, because a lot of old white guys in that pool.
They're not going to vote Trae Young. They're not going to – I don't think they're going to vote Ayton.
No, I don't think so.
I don't know what they'll do with Bagley. He missed the game, so I don't know. If that, I'm assuming that's
4. I don't think they're gonna. I think Jalen Brunson's the guy, and I think you got him at 6-1.
I think so too. But I thought about maybe putting a little bit on Devontae Graham.
Yeah, that's not bad either.
Because I could see them if Kansas gets hot, because the AP vote doesn't happen until what, the Final Four?
I don't know. I have to vote for Naismith this week and next week, I think.
Right. So I think it's usually announced right around the
yeah.
The week, either the week of or the week the Tuesday or Wednesday after the title game.
Yeah, I forget. The Naismith vote took me off guard too. I had to vote for 4 finalists, and I had Trae Young in my finalists, and he wasn't on the final list.
Yeah.
That was bizarre, but what can you do sometimes? Just a real quick note: our podcast is sponsored by Hims. We'll get to a full read from them in a second. Reags, let's go on ahead and talk about what we actually saw over the course of the weekend. I guess we should start with the South region, because what happened? I still don't know.
I have no idea. I watched the UMBC game with a buddy, the UMBC Virginia game, and we were just laughing. We didn't even have words. We weren't even communicating with each other. We were just laughing back and forth.
Yeah.
And it was, and that just started it, right? Because that was the only real upset in round 1. In Buffalo, Arizona.
Yeah, it was certainly the biggest upset of round 1. Marshall, Wichita, too.
Well, I'm saying in that region, just in that region.
Oh, in that region, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Loyola, too.
Yeah, I guess Loyola, but even it was a 2.5 point spread.
Yeah.
So it's not like, and I think a lot of people expected Loyola to win that game.
Yeah, I had Loyola, I think, plus 1.5.
Right. So it was one of those like, yeah, it was, I guess, I mean, it was an upset in theory, but it was one of those, I'm not, like, I don't think people were freaking out about that game. But, man, everything following that just went to shit. Like, you have Kentucky advancing and now playing in Atlanta. You have Nevada with 2 ridiculous comebacks against a team that they shouldn't come back against in Cincinnati. You have Loyola, who I think matched up well against Tennessee, but they win on a near buzzer beater. And then somehow Kansas State and Bruce Weber just still hanging around in the Sweet 16. Which is like the only way I can describe them.
How are they in the Sweet 16? I love it.
I don't know. I mean, it's like, and they're even playing without Dean Wade.
Yeah, like their best player, second best player, depending on what you think of Barry Brown, is out. Like, it's amazing.
How did Creighton not beat them?
I don't know. How did they hold Creighton under 60 is the most incredible part. Like,
and like then throw in the fact that this is all happening now in Atlanta, where it's going to be, no joke, 90% Kentucky fans.
Yeah, like Nevada's not traveling. I mean, I don't think Kansas State.
I saw a tweet from Kentucky Twitter that Loyola had their tickets out for the public for both sessions, and Kentucky fans were just buying them.
That's amazing.
Like, because somebody found out Loyola had it out for the public, and that's the worst thing that you can do when you're in Atlanta and Kentucky's in your region.
Yeah, that's going to be ugly, I think. I think Kentucky's coming out of that region. Do we want to talk about Arizona real quick? Just because that was the most... It wasn't actually that bizarre when you think about it, because...
Buffalo's a team that matches up well against them.
Yeah, like, Arizona's problem all year has been defensive quickness. They just have slow defenders. Like, they play 2 true centers. Raleigh Alkins and Alonzo Trier are not good defensively, and they're slow-footed defensively.
I was going to say they're not super quick.
Right, and Parker Jackson Cartwright, he's a good defender for being 5'10", but he's still 5'10" and causes all sorts of issues. And like, Sean did not trust anybody on that bench,
which is crazy because you assume somebody like a Randolph or a Smith or a Pinder should be good defensively in that game.
Pinder was good defensively, but he's also just a guy. You know what I mean?
That's right. Yeah.
So, like, it was just a mess. They were awful. They were terrible in that game, and Buffalo just sliced and diced them the entire way. Is this Arizona team one of the most disappointing teams you've seen?
You know what? I don't even know if they're the most disappointing team this year.
Who?
To me, it's Michigan State.
Yeah, I can see that.
I mean, Michigan State, they have the coach that everyone considers this great coach, right? They have the consensus preseason player of the year. You have a team that was either 1 or 2, and they beat 2 good teams this year. Like, they didn't beat anybody. They were not. Their record was inflated because they played in the garbage Big Ten.
Yeah.
And the teams they beat in the Big Ten, the only good team they beat in the Big Ten was Purdue on a just close your eyes heave by Miles Bridges.
Yeah, that's true.
Home.
That's a good point.
To me, that's the most and then the way they lose to Syracuse, like, to me, that's just more disappointing than Arizona, because Arizona at least has the crutch of you lose an assistant coach right before the season starts. You had Alkins out for part of the year. You had Trier miss a couple games. Like, to me, there's just more of that stuff with Arizona where, like, don't get me wrong, Arizona was a massive disappointment, but their holes, I think, were a lot more evident to see, and like, they still at least went out and won their league and took care of business there.
Yeah.
Like, they beat the teams they were supposed to, and they at least beat Texas A&M. Like,
they beat Alabama too.
And Alabama, like, I think that's better than Michigan State's.
Well, like, I guess that what I would ask you is, how do we think Tom Izzo handled this year? Like,
Terrible.
Do we think that he was genuinely bad this year? Because
I think he was not great.
Because on one hand, like, I totally get the idea of, they should have been playing small the whole year. I advocated it from the start of the year. But when they didn't do that, I also went through and looked at the numbers, and they couldn't stop anyone when Jaren Jackson and Miles Bridges were on the floor with no other big man.
I just feel like he didn't try, like, I feel like he didn't try to make it work. Like, he
early
didn't
in the year, he didn't try and make it work.
Or
and because of that, he couldn't go to it later in the year.
Right, and he didn't adjust what other guards were out there. Like, it was just always the same rotation. And I feel like he could have got, like, a little bit more creative with his rotations, especially early in the year, when you can kind of get away with that type of stuff. But I put this on Twitter, and I think it's true. Is this the most disappointing year for a Tom Izzo coach team relative to expectations?
Oh, I think so for sure.
Right.
Yeah,
and I think a lot of that falls on Izzo to me.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that once he made his bed playing two true bigs at all times, he kind of had to go with it. Where he should have figured it out was he should have played his bigs, or he should have played small earlier in the year and let his guys figure it out.
Right. And even the way they lost
from there,
and the way they lost to Syracuse, like how do you on 3 different dead ball possessions where you are now taking possession of the ball with less than 90 seconds to go, leave Jaren Jackson and or Nick Ward on the bench?
That was bizarre.
Right.
That was very bizarre.
That's on one person. That's on Tom Izzo.
Yeah,
Jackson can't go check himself in.
Yeah, that's true. I mean,
I would have I declared at halftime if I was Jaren Jackson. I honestly would have. I'd have been like, no, you're not going to play me here. Like, let me have a microphone where where's whatever sideline reporter was doing that game. Like, hey, let me get a quick minute here. I'm declaring with an agent right now.
Tracy Wolfson, declare for the draft. Let's go. Give me the paperwork.
I'm in sweats. Like, I'm not going to risk getting hurt because I'm not playing.
Oh my God. Yeah, that was weird. That was an entirely weird situation.
It was weird, but it was bad.
Yeah. And then Xavier, your entire city just, ate itself whole on Sunday.
They aren't great up here. People are not handling this well. I'm a little concerned. I've been wearing a lot of plain colors. I'm a little concerned if I wear anything Kentucky related, I will get jumped. Because things are going well in this region. Not in this region, because things are going well. Things are going great in this city. What's weird though is it's hard to call their seasons failures or disappointments like we do in Michigan State or Arizona.
Yeah, I don't think so. I mean, Cincinnati had a great year. They won the AAC.
Xavier won the Big East.
Xavier won the Big East. Xavier, I think, pretty clearly surpassed expectations. Cincinnati probably maybe lived down a little bit. They were probably
Cincinnati surpassed my expectations.
They should have been a Sweet 16 team, probably.
Right. I mean, both should have been. Yeah,
but I don't think they went too far below expectations. I don't think they should be disappointed with their year at all.
No, I mean, when you look at it, if they don't win, say Cincinnati loses to Wichita on that last Sunday of the regular season, then yeah, maybe you look at it a little bit more disappointment because you don't win the conference outright. You end up being the 2 seed. Who knows what happens in the conference tournament at that stage? So maybe that was a saving grace. It is disappointment because I thought Xavier, this was the year that they, I think, were primed to make a Final Four. You had Blewett, you had McCura, you have Mack. You developed a bench, you developed a good rotation. And I thought the bracket broke nice on them. I thought they matched up well against Gonzaga. And then same with Michigan, assuming that's who gets out of the bottom half. I thought this was a good draw for them.
Yeah, and they just ended up kind of pissing the bed a little bit against Florida State.
A lot of it.
Yeah.
It's a bad. What's weird though is they're 2 of their last 3 games, the 2 losses, Providence and Florida State, were games they kind of choked away, and it's almost a balancing act from the comebacks they had early in the year.
Yeah.
It just felt like it evened out. It just happened to even out at the worst time of the year.
Well, that's what you always have to worry about in those situations where teams have been very, very lucky throughout the course of the year. Xavier is the 17th luckiest team in the country, according to KenPom, even after the Florida State loss. And this is what happens with a team, too, where in Florida State's case, or in Xavier's case, they give up over a point per possession to a Florida State team that hasn't been this incredible offensive team. They've been a good offensive team. They gave up 83 in 81 possessions to Texas Southern. The defense just never came along for Xavier.
Yeah, that was bad.
Just is what it is.
And it didn't help that Najee Marshall got hurt because I think he's obviously their best on-ball defender.
Yeah,
or just best defender, I would say in general too. But then
Kaiser Gates took a big step back defensively too. I don't really get that.
Yeah, they're gonna be an interesting team next year. I think they're still gonna be a top 25 team next year.
I would think so.
Even with the loss of Blewett, Cantor, and Omar and McCura.
Well, we have to see what happens with Chris Mack still, I think.
Yeah, but even then, depending, if they just go with Steele or Kelsey, someone in the family, so to speak, I still think they're top 20. Like, not too much is going to change.
Probably not. No, but Chris is very good.
I mean, yeah, he's a top 12 coach in America.
Yeah,
but
and they have a good recruiting class coming in. I really like Keontae Kennedy, who is this 4-star, 6'4" wing. They have a kid, 7'1" kid coming in. They have Dontarius James, I think, is another one who is at least go ahead.
Kid from Dartmouth transferring in.
Yeah. So like they have some dudes coming in. They have I think like this other they have like another kid coming in who's really good. From a lower level of college basketball. I can't remember what the deal is. I don't remember if it's like a JUCO or what exactly it is. Right. It's something though. Plus they have Najee Marshall for another year. They have Paul Scruggs, who will be better. They have to hope that Elias Harden sticks around.
He's in a tough spot.
I haven't heard anything about him leaving though. So you have to hope there. Tyreek Jones is really good. Quentin Gooden actually figured some stuff out this year too. So
and then you just hope Gates figures out defense again.
Yeah, you just have to figure out. You have to hope that Kaiser Gates knows how to defend at some point. They have a chance to be really good defensively next year, I think, with Gooden, with Scruggs, with Najee Marshall, and with Kaiser Gates and Tyreek Jones. If those are your five, that should be a really good defensive five.
Right. They're gonna be opposite of this year. They're not gonna be great offensively, but they'll be great defensively.
They should be. We'll see.
Yep.
We'll see. Yep. I mean, Chris Mack has had good defenses before. No, he's never had like a top 20 defense, which is kind of shocking to me.
2 years ago, they were good though when they were the 2 seed and lost to Wisconsin.
Yeah, like they were solid that year, but like it is still like relatively surprising he's never had a top 20 defense.
It is. It is.
Next year, I think, is his chance to do that. If he sticks around at Xavier, we'll find out if that's the case.
I don't know. We're on airplane watch out here. I've gotten tweets. I saw one today that was plane left from Louisville at 4:20, landed in Cincinnati at 4:38. I'd love to see who was on that guest list.
Meanwhile, he tweets out like a photo of him being at Benihana with his family because he knows that like when that stuff happens, it's going to be out there.
I mean, people are losing their minds. I mean, and the city went through with it a couple of years ago when Cronin flirted with UNLV, and I mean, if this happens, half of the city is just going to be in full down meltdown mode.
What did you think of Cronin after the game, asking that dude? Did you come up with that question yourself? I haven't gone to sleep yet.
I mean, personally, I love it. Just
so
because. I mean, let's be honest. People ask some shitty questions.
Oh yeah, trust me, I was in scrums.
I know. So it's like, and you know what? They're regular humans. Like coaches and players are regular humans, and he lost a brutal game. And I mean, we all know who he is on a regular basis. Multiply the fact that your season just ends with probably your best team in that fashion, and you could ask a question like that. Like, it would take me a lot to not say something like that, too.
Oh, yeah, I probably would have made a joke, too. I think that my funniest press conference moment of the weekend happened at the last Marshall one, where Dan D'Antoni kept going on about how this game should be happening every year, the West Virginia Marshall game.
Oh, yeah.
And I knew what I was doing whenever I got the microphone. And I go, so Dan, in your mind, why do you think this game doesn't happen every year? And he goes, well, we know why it doesn't happen every year. We don't
just stir in the pot.
I was like, yeah, this will be fun.
Yeah, yeah. It's the same thing with like Ty Jerome, where someone asked him like, this is the first time a 16 beat a number one. He's just like, yeah, we know. Thanks for bringing that one back up.
Yeah. No, good for Ty Jerome too. Give me that Torian Prince moment.
Right. It's like, what are you doing asking someone asking that question right after the press conference?
Yeah. No, it's a hard question, like, to think of there. I don't know why he would do that.
I know.
Like, if you want to do that, ask it in the locker room. Like, don't like do it while he's on the dais, like a minute after losing.
Right. He was still in his jersey.
Like, to peel behind the curtain on the way this stuff works. Like, you can go in the locker rooms and ask questions to the players every time. And the locker room has to be open for like 30 minutes. So you can go in and talk to them. Like, just don't like publicly shame the dude.
I know, but I had no problem with Cronin saying what he did.
Me
you know what? He probably could have went a lot worse, and I wouldn't have blamed him at that point either.
Yeah, no, 100% there.
It's one of those things too. Like but fans get mad that, oh, they're just robot answers all the time and no personality. And then the moment somebody starts showing personality or not answering like a robot, they get pissed.
Yeah.
It's the dumbest thing in the world.
Yeah, no, I know. It's like they're held to this standard. Then we had people like, essentially like blowing Tony Bennett for, all of the class in the world. I mean, like, great. Tony's a great guy. As I said on the podcast on Friday, like, he's been one of the nicest human beings both times that I've talked to him in my life. He's a great dude, but like, let's just chill a little bit.
Let's all, you know what, as journalists, let's be happy there's just no little kids asking questions.
Oh, I had the Max kid in my regional.
Oh, you did?
He's actually pretty cool. He should
have scolded him. That's the hot thing to do in the NCAA tournament.
No, he was wearing some baller ass Ultra Boosts. Like,
Sam, you're on a deadline. Be a journalist.
No, I was looking at his Ultra Boosts. I was like, damn. Like,
I would have asked him. Do you have that in a men's 12?
No, shout out that Max kid. He got it.
He's also better than more than 60% of the people in there.
It's probably true. Let's move on, but first, I've got an ad for you. Hims, it's a new wellness brand for men. Over 66% of men lose their hair by age 50 or by age 35. I'm sorry. No, I'm included in that list, by the way. I'm
absolutely including that list.
Just straight up losing my hair by the age of 35. But the thing is that when you start to notice hair loss, it's too late because it's easier to keep the hair you have than to replace the hair you've lost. That hairline for me, it's slowly going backward, man. Like that thing is just slowly but surely just sliding up.
Mine's coming the other way, man.
Couple centimeters. You got the bald spot coming in the back.
Oh, I've had it since I was like a kid. But now it's just getting worse and worse and worse.
Yeah, no, I don't.
Gotta get me some Hims.
I don't got the bald spot, but I do have the hairline slowly receding back and the forehead just slowly but surely getting bigger and bigger to where I can't really talk shit about people anymore that have the big forehead. So why do guys turn to weird solutions when they can turn to medicine and science? The solution is forhims.com, a one-stop shop for hair loss, skincare, sexual wellness for men. Thanks to science, baldness can be optional. Hims connects you with real doctors and medical-grade solutions to treat hair loss. Well-known generic equivalents to name-brand prescriptions to help you keep your hair. There are no snake oil pills, no gas station counter supplements. Have you ever bought a gas station counter supplement, by the way? I love it.
I've debated it as I was really, really drunk one night.
I was going to say, how trashed do you have to be to debate buying a gas station counter supplement?
It was pretty much just me looking at bright colors, being like, I wonder what that does. And me being like, wait a minute, that would be a bad decision.
The best part of forhims.com, there are no waiting rooms, no awkward doctor visits. You can save hours by just going to forhims.com. It's so easy. You answer a few questions. The doctor will review and prescribe you. Products are shipped directly to your door. Order now. My listeners get a trial month of Hims for just $5 today, right now, while supplies last. See the website for full details. This would cost hundreds if you went to a doctor or a pharmacy. Go to forhims.com/game theory, GAMETHEORY. That's FORHIMS.com/GAMETHEORY. Forhims.com/game theory. Reags, let's move on and talk about some of the best NBA prospects that are still left in this NCAA tournament. I think that one guy who has significantly helped himself this, past week is Shai Alexander.
Yeah.
For me, like, we've hit the point where I think you can legitimately say Shai Alexander has a chance to be the number one point guard taken in the draft. I think he's certainly the third guy in that running, but I think he's somehow placed himself into that conversation if the right team would get the pick.
I think what he's done is locked himself into a lottery pick.
I think so. I mean, like, he's been outplaying Kevin Knox all year, and I've been afraid.
Knox has been really, really good the last 3.5 weeks. So.
No question. No, and I don't mean to disparage Kevin Knox, who I still think is also a lottery pick, who we'll get to in a second. But Shai has been outplaying Knox all year.
Shai's been the star.
He's been their best player. And by the way, shout out the SEC coaches and media for not recognizing that and naming Knox to the first team and Shai to the second team. But
shout out a mock draft I saw that called him a shooting guard.
Shai or Kevin Knox?
Shai.
I mean, he might play some shooting guard. I don't think that's also crazy.
It also, in Kevin Knox's description, said that he's been good despite Kentucky having bad guard prop play.
Okay, that's not that good. But Shai Alexander has just been ridiculous the entire season. Like he is legitimately one of the top, I would say, 12 prospects in this class now. Yes, and I think what this really, since the SEC tournament, has done is just solidify that for everybody, right? Like, because it was always he feels like a lottery pick, but maybe he falls like 17 based on where the teams fall. Now he's going top 12. I think so. I mean, he's 6'6", 7-foot wingspan, defends really, really well, multi-positional defender. Terrible. He's shooting 41% from three. He's only taken 55 threes, but that number of threes has gone up pretty dramatically since, I would say, really February. And he's doing it both ways, both catch and shoot and off the bounce. Yep, and plus he's an awesome finisher at the rim because of all that length. He really knows how to use it. And a great free throw shooter. And just gets to wherever he wants on the floor, too. He's really good. And it's crazy because he doesn't wow you with the athleticism. He doesn't wow you with speed. He's just like that kind of prototypical old school crafty type player. Long strides. He gets there with long strides. But like you would expect the way. What's crazy, like he doesn't finish with dunking a lot too, right? Like he finishes by kind of those shifts in the lane and gets up with a layup. You would think when you look at him and the way that he's built, the long arms, the long legs, like that dude's gonna yam all over everybody. And it's just like, no, he's just gonna slowly get into the lane and finish and go like 10 for 12 from the field. Yeah, no, he's been ridiculous all year. He's been very, very good since he started to like get 25 to 30 minutes a night. Who does he remind you of anybody? Because I've been trying to figure out, okay, what's a comparison for him? I think he's kind of like better DeLon Wright, kind of. That's the one I keep seeing too, and I'm like, I get scared because is it too obvious that that's who it is? I think that's it. Like I'm pretty sure that that's it. I mean, I think so. That was my thought process too. But then I saw like 6 other people say DeLon Wright, and I'm like, all right, am I missing something, or is this just one of those like the obvious answer that everybody has to say? Don't overthink it. Yeah, I'll have to think about that a little bit more. Like, I'll really have to like think of like a really like longer thought process one. That's interesting. I'll tell you what, though, for a team that was desperate for a star, it's damn impressive that he stepped up into that role. I never would have guessed that before the season. Yeah, no, that's definitely true. That's very, very true. He was the 5th best part of that recruiting class. I mean, he wasn't even starting. It took a quad green injury for him to get into the starting lineup. Yeah, like you would hear from like NBA scouts that had been down there, like, nah, he's not going to be a secret for long. Like, he's really good. And you'd be like, yeah, no, I buy that. Like, I saw him, in recruiting events and stuff. Like, you look great. But he's like, the fact that he is now a lottery pick it's not like crazy, but it's pretty impressive. Yeah, I mean, especially year one, I don't think anybody, even the NBA scouts who saw him, would have said, okay, he's a lock lottery pick year one. Yeah, no. And then Kevin Knox, you brought him up as well. My favorite thing is just watching Kevin Knox get the ball on the right wing, take 2 dribbles to the baseline, and go up for that right-handed floater. Like, it's cash every time. It is, and the fact that he realizes that is such a big development, because early in the year, he was just catching ball on the wing, shooting. Catching ball on the wing, shooting. Yep. And now that the biggest change is the fact that Cal has him running off of like baseline screens and flex screens and curl screens. When he's running off that baseline flex screen, he has to be shooting 94%. Yeah, no, it seems like that. It certainly seems like he's shooting that. That's big for him. And I think that's now let him be a little bit better on catch and shoot situations because he's doing a better job relocating. Yeah, no, I agree. I think he's just a very, very good player now. It took him a while to like totally affect every game. He's now doing that. Like, I know that he only had 8 points against Buffalo, but it was fine. You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't like he was not affecting the game. He also didn't have to score because Shai was doing all of that. Well, yeah, Shai is just ridiculous. But I'm saying, like, he accepted his role, just like, okay, well, I'm not just going to jack a shot up because I need to get points here. Right. It was a role acceptance where he wasn't, like, sometimes he gets invisible like earlier in the year. He would get invisible.
Yep.
But he wasn't invisible in that game, even though he only scored 8 points. He was just there. Like, he was kind of sinking in, letting Shai do his thing, and then when he was needed, he would come up.
Yep, and played fine defensively, which he should do with that length that he has.
Yeah, for sure. Let's go ahead and move on. I would say that probably Marvin Bagley is the best prospect remaining. I think that is just about fair. What have we thought of Bagley throughout this tournament? I mean, he hasn't really gotten a matchup that hasn't been a massive advantage for him, yet still he's been pretty impressive, I think.
He's just so damn good, man. I mean, his footwork, I think, is just so polished for his age and his size.
It's footwork, it's explosiveness, it's the first and second and third jump even. It's motor.
He broke out a little Euro step against Rhode Island.
Yeah, he keeps learning. That's the crazy thing.
At a man that size, to pull that out, it's game over, man.
Body control is wild too. His body control is crazy. It's just so crazy.
He finished a Euro step in traffic, and I'm like, you are 6'11", sir. Please do not do that.
I know. He's so good. He's so good.
And good luck keeping him off. Like, I don't care. You can throw him in the NBA right now. He's going to go get 12 rebounds.
I think so. I would bet that is probably right.
That translates.
Yeah.
And he's like...
He's shooting 39% from three now.
I'm so mad. I was all aboard Bagley on I had Bagley at number 1 up until he got hurt, and I switched to Ayton for him. And I'm mad I did that because I think it might be Bagley back at number 1 for me.
Yeah, I've still got him at 3. I think you can make a case at 2 if you don't buy into Luka Doncic getting separation at the next level. But
right.
I mean, he's right there. Like anyone who's like
it's a tier 1 for me with those 3.
We gotta stop nitpicking Marvin Bagley. We just gotta.
I don't care that he doesn't use his right hand. He doesn't need to.
He kind of doesn't. Like, eventually he's going to have to be able to dribble, but he's just
does
really
he?
good.
Tim Duncan never did.
Yeah, but his game's a lot more
Duncan,
predicated on it, though.
Yeah, but it's still one of those, like, if he doesn't have, until somebody makes him, he doesn't have to.
Yeah, no, it's true. I mean, Julius Randle gets by just using his left hand mostly.
That dude has less of a right hand than I do, and that's saying a lot.
You were right. You were a righty, weren't you?
Oh, I'm a lefty.
You're a lefty. Oh, Jesus. You were a little point guard lefty?
Yes, I was everybody's least favorite person.
You still are.
I know. Like, my right hand is worthless. Like, I could cut my right hand off. I'm that dominant left-handed.
Oh, my God.
And every, like, I don't do things that, like, I this is unnecessary.
Yeah, Marvin's really good. Like,
he is.
I've talked about him enough on this podcast, so I kind of just want to move on to Wendell. But, like, if you want to listen to me extensively talk about Marvin Bagley, Cole Zwicker and I recorded a Marvin Bagley podcast about a month and a half, 2 months ago. Just go listen to that.
It would be unfair not to say something about him.
Yeah, no, of course. But Wendell Carter, I think, has been really good this year, too.
Yes.
He's really gone under the radar. He is, like, actually 10th overall right now in terms of the Ken Pom Player of the Year like standings. That's not normal.
No, not when you have a guy. What's Bagley, 4th in there?
I think he's 2nd.
Or 2nd now? Yeah. So, yeah, Carter's really good. The fact that Duke runs that high-low with him and Bagley, it just makes all the sense in the world. They're both great in that set, I think. The fact that Carter's a threat to shoot, I mean, he's still out there grabbing double-doubles. And he's one of those, he's not going to, similar to what we said with Shai, like, he's not going to wow you with his athleticism or anything like that, but he's just consistently going to do the right thing. And
right.
that translates. I don't care. That translates to anything, but the fact that he's always kind of a step ahead in that sense.
Yep.
It just means so much.
Yeah. No, by the way, crazy number. So we all talk about how Marvin Bagley, like, you know, the shooting questions, and we all assume Wendell Carter can just shoot. Marvin Bagley's made 3 more threes than Wendell Carter has this year.
Yeah. Pretty crazy.
I mean, mechanically, I totally agree that, like, Wendell's shot mechanics look a lot better. But at the same token, man, just saying. I don't know.
Bagley might have better mechanics because he's a lefty.
Get out of here.
Bill Raftery asked, why do lefties look so pretty?
Leave.
Blame him.
Leave. Carter, too, he's done a little bit better of a job protecting the rim as the year has gone on. Yep. He was not great, I felt, at that early in the year. He has since really, really improved at it, I think.
And the fact that he's he does a really good job of getting in the right position too, especially when it comes to rebounding. I think. Yeah, like he's not like Bagley where he's just going to out jump you.
Right.
He gets to where he needs to be because he's, again, a step ahead of you at all times.
Right, and like protecting the rim, it's easier whenever you're in a zone, just because you're kind of standing there, and you just have to make a right to left rotation, right? Rebounding is not as easy in a zone because you have to find a body. He's very good at finding a body.
Right, and I think that's what's good is the fact that he finds a body and Bagley finds the ball.
Yeah, it's kind of like a Brook Lopez scenario, which, by the way, I kind of love that comp for Wendell Carter. I think he's kind of Brook Lopez-y.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a really, really good one.
Yeah. Like, he's very, very hyper-skilled, but he is a little bit slow-footed. He's already 260 pounds.
He kind of looks like he's lumbering, even though he's not.
Yeah. No, that's exactly right. Yeah, and he's going to be able to shoot it like Brook eventually learned to shoot it. Good rebounder. Wouldn't be all that crazy if his rebounding never totally matched up to the numbers, right? Like, some games he has like 6 rebounds, 7 rebounds, and it certainly seems like he has more than that most nights, just given the effect he's having on the floor. So, no, I'm a big Wendell Carter fan. I am a little bit worried about him moving in space, but he is, to me, also a pretty clear like top 10 prospect.
Yeah, I think he's top 12 for me. I probably have him 10, but he's, again, a lock for a top 12.
Yeah, no, he'll be in the lottery for sure. Some people think he's like a top 6 prospect in this class.
Yeah, I'm not willing to go that far because I'm not willing to put him over Ayton, Bagley, Doncic, Jackson, Porter if he checks out clean, when NBA doctors look at him. I mean, to me, it's them. And then, Bamba and the point guards. Carter's somewhere in the range with like the point guards to me.
Yeah. The last guy I want to talk about here from an NBA perspective is Mikal Bridges. Boy, was he bad in the first half of that game against Alabama, and boy, was he good in the second half.
Guess who tweeted out something in the first half, and then I still stand by it. People are trying to expose it, and I don't think it really is that because I don't think I'm incorrect. I said my biggest fear with Bridges as a top prospect is the fact that he's not he can't really create for himself. He should be dominating this game with Brunson out.
Well, and then what he does is he doesn't create going forward. He creates sidestep or step back.
He wasn't even touching. Like, he wasn't even doing that when Brunson was out. And, I mean, DiVincenzo carried him, but to me, that's where Bridges has to be like, give me the ball. I will get a bucket here.
Yeah, and you know what? He did that in the second half. Like, I think it's worth saying that. Like,
but I tweeted this in the first half.
It's a fair point. He's really good. Like, he's, to me, one of the safest prospects in this class. He's going to shoot the ever-loving shit out of the ball, and that he's going to defend multiple positions. That's enough.
Here's something, though, that I was asked, and it's a good point, is why are we talking about Mikal Bridges as if he's going to change? Like, people being like, oh, let's just get him stronger, when he's been in the Villanova system for 4 years already. And
right.
And what's really the difference between like him and Josh Hart, to where I say the difference.
Athleticism.
I say the difference more in the sense of, I mean, Hart's got good length too, though, not Bridges, but the sense of why are we banking so much on Bridges to change where Hart was? This is who he is.
Well, here's what I would say. First and foremost, Mikal Bridges is a junior. Josh Hart was a senior. They were both fourth-year players, which I think a lot of people don't recognize.
Right.
They should. They should recognize that Mikal Bridges is 22. He's a lot longer than Josh Hart. He's 6'7" with a 7'2" wingspan.
Yeah, and I get
Josh
that part.
Is like 6'5" with a 6'7" wingspan.
I get that part, but more the fact that everyone's just expecting Mikal Bridges, I guess, to change either A, his game, or B, his body.
I think his body is largely what it is. Like, he might put on a little bit more strength, but I don't think you're talking about a guy who's going to get up to like 235.
He's putting on 10 pounds max.
Yeah, like if he gets to 225, like that's super useful, I think.
Yeah, but I don't even know if he's able to do that.
Maybe. I don't know. I mean, I'll have to ask some mechanical folks about that later, like in the pre-draft process. But no, I think that he is legitimately a safe prospect who has a little bit more untapped potential. If he can add just a little bit more on his handle, but this is what we say about all these guys, right? All of these guys with ridiculous measurements. And I think that's where people look at it. He still has just this incredible upside because he has the measurements that nobody else can match, whereas Josh got everything out of his measurements. On some level, though, you do get to a point where you're maxed out, and it's more likely that you're maxed out the older you get. So I'm just calling Mikal Bridges like a very safe NBA starter at some point. Like
I agree.
I think he's probably like Trevor Ariza, maybe like a better shooting Trevor Ariza, which is valuable.
I would say I think he's like JV Klay Thompson.
It's not bad. I mean, I don't think he's that shooter, but like it's not bad.
Right, like because Thompson's kind of the same knock, right? Like, can he really create for himself going forward? He kind of has, good length. Again, he fits that Warrior system so well. Bridges, I think Bridges is kind of dependent on the system that he goes to too.
Yeah, I agree.
Like you can't draft him with expectations that he's going to be your 1 and maybe even your 2. If he's your 3, you're fine.
Yeah, no, you're in great shape if he's your third man.
Right. So that's why I think I'm really curious to see where he goes in the draft, because there are certain teams in the lottery where it's like for Bridges' sake, I really hope he doesn't go there because I don't think that's a good fit.
Yeah. No, I think he's a very clear top 10 prospect again.
Oh, with ease, yes.
He's a little bit safer than some of the other guys, but I think that's going to appeal to some teams in the top 10. Like if you're Philadelphia and you can get Miles Bridges at number 10 with that Lakers pick potentially,
that's such a perfect fit.
It's a win. It's a perfect win for you. Are there any other sneaky prospects under the radar that you want to talk about?
In terms of ones that have, it's weird, man. Like Brunson and like pretty much the lead guards in the East. Brunson, Carter, Keenan Evans,
and Carson Edwards probably should,
and Carson, but I think Carson's still another year away.
Probably.
Whereas 2 are seniors and Brunson is all but gone. I think. I think they can kind of help themselves too, getting out of that region, and if they play well.
I will say this: Javon Carter helped himself in my eyes.
I know. I was talking to Chris Stone about him. We were talking yesterday about it, and that was one of the first. He asked me the same question, kind of like, what prospects have like most impressed you or made like the biggest statement? I was like, Shai, Hammy Diallo, and Javon Carter. Those are my 3 answers, like right off the bat.
Javon, I'm someone who thinks that NBA teams probably expend a little bit too much money sending folks to games. Like I think that media organizations in general probably expend too much money sending folks to games. Like you kind of don't need to be there anymore. Like you can still get the right impression of prospects and save some money. I'll say this, being in person for Javon Carter, just like taking over that game and leading them, like every time that Konate got like a little bit jazzed up, he was there to calm them down. Every time that they needed a big bucket, he was there to get it. Every time that they needed a stop, he was just right up in Jonathan Stark, or he was right up in John Elmore, whoever he was on. He's really, really impressive in person. He is terrifying as a human being, as a basketball player in person.
Yeah. And you know what? Watching Brunson play in the second half against Alabama, some of those passes he made, like there was the one that he just dropped off to Bridges from the baseline to the top of the key. And I'm just like, that dude's a backup point guard right now in the NBA.
Oh, I think so too. I think they both are. I think they're
and that's
both,
why I'm fascinated by that East region, because I think Keenan Evans can play his way to possibly into that backup point guard role in the NBA.
I'm expecting Keenan Evans to end up in like the back end of my top 100 by the time like everyone declares and doesn't declare for the draft. I'm not real interested, to be honest, though, in his game. He's the shot scares me too much, and you need that shot so badly.
But if he's also one of those that he plays really well these next 2 games and Texas Tech advances,
maybe.
We see it happen. Like all of a sudden now he's the story of the NCAA tournament, and a team takes a flyer on him at 58 or something like that, or from summer camp.
Maybe, yeah, no, wouldn't be out of the question.
That's why I think that region's fascinating from that standpoint of just 4 lead guards that are all potential NBA players at some point.
Well, it's very clearly the best region talent-wise left.
Well, that too. That helps. Definitely
the most fun region to watch. Is there anything else? Like, are there any? I mean, I'm excited to see Gonzaga's guys because I love that team and I love all of those dudes. I mean, like Killian Tilly didn't have a great game against Ohio State. I want to see him rebound. Rui Hachimura had a terrific game against Ohio State, just breaking my heart.
I'm excited for Zach Norvell to turn into the best prospect in this draft.
Zach would love nothing more than that, I think.
Because the way he's playing these first 2 games, he might be.
He's been ridiculous. He's really, really good. It's funny. All 3 of those guys live together at Gonzaga. Those
Rui, Norvell, and
Tilly.
But they're all the same class, right?
Yes, they are. They are all in the same class.
Zach
is a freshman, but yeah. They always because I've like been around that team now a decent amount this year, and I always ask them like, what's the funniest thing that happens in your house? And apparently, like every 3 weeks, they go on this like massive cleaning binge because their house just gets to be such a mess from those 3.
So they're just regular college dudes.
They're regular college dudes, and I love it. I'm all in.
That's the best.
Except one's from like Chicago, one's from France, and one is from Japan.
Yeah,
it's great.
But other than that, they're 3 college dudes.
It's like the best like odd trio in history.
We need a sitcom.
So I'm excited to see those guys. I'm hoping for Gonzaga, Michigan on Saturday, obviously.
Same. Although I'll tell you what, if the Texas A&M that we get, the UNC game, Texas A&M,
that's who we need to talk about.
I'm fine with them winning. Like
we need to talk about Big Bob Williams. Big Bob has been a lot better as the course of the year has gone on. I was someone who was pretty
not high on him.
I would say skeptical more than anything. In like, hey, look, over his last 6 games, he's scored 5, 3, 7, 6, 13, 8 points. So like, hey, still a lot of reason to be skeptical here. When he's effective though, he's just grabbing rebounds like crazy, protecting the rim like crazy. He's a very valuable player.
I agree, especially because he's buying into his role on offense and letting Tyler Davis be the guy in the post.
Yeah.
Which, for this team, is important because Davis has been pretty good.
Yeah, no, that's definitely true.
And I think he's a little bit more polished, too, than Williams in the post.
Oh, well, Tyler's good. Tyler's a very good player.
I know. But I'm saying the fact that for a guy like Williams to acknowledge that and just do what he needs to, especially just be essentially the defensive player and rebounder.
Yeah, no, for sure. Reags
also hopes DJ Hoag's good now.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's something that we've been waiting for a long time, and good might still be a bit of a stretch.
He was good for a game.
He was good for a game. Reags, is there anything else we want to talk about, or do we want to get out of here?
I don't know. Here's this. I got in trouble for saying this, and I want your opinion. I think we're still set up for the perfect tournament, where if the Final Four is Kentucky, Gonzaga or Michigan, Duke or Kansas, and Villanova, that ends up being the perfect tournament.
Yeah, I agree.
Because we got the craziness, we got the good stories, we have Cinderella, we have the memorable moments, and then you have 4 brand names and 4 of the top 20 teams in the Final Four.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I think that's right. If that happens, that'd be terrific. I am skeptical on that happening, but
we're definitely getting Loyola, Syracuse, Texas A&M, and Texas Tech.
I will cry.
It'd be so bad.
I will cry.
But that's what we're going to get, because that's what we deserve with the way the season's going.
It's kind of true. It's actually really true.
We don't deserve better.
Tell the people where they can find your work.
You can follow me on Twitter at Barstool Reags. I tweet everything out there. Fundamentally Sound Podcasts and all your Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Google Play, all that good stuff. And then, obviously, BarstoolSports.com.
I'm going to make you give me one pick right now. Give me one pick against the spread that you love from the Sweet 16 games.
Oh, I didn't even look at the spreads yet. You know what? I think Duke covers the 11.
Yeah, I'm a little bit worried about the number of possessions in that game, just not being enough. But I think that's the side I don't know. We'll see.
What's the West Virginia line? I didn't even look yet.
It is 5.5.
I like Villanova. I think they shred that press.
They might. They really might, because West Virginia's half-court defense is not great sometimes.
And they're not going to challenge Konate at the rim, because they can just shoot wide open threes. And if it's going to come down to what we always say with Villanova, are they hit shots? If they hit shots, that could be a 20-point game.
I'm going with Kentucky minus 5.5 against Kansas State. I don't think Kansas State's good.
I might, you know what? The way Kentucky plays, though, I might like just Kentucky first half lines.
Yeah, that's a good plan. That's actually a really good plan.
Because the game's going to end up being 5.
I'm so mad at that. I pushed on Davidson because of that late 3.
I waited and took Kentucky 4.5.
Oh, man. I waited assuming it would go down to 4. And I tried to get the extra half point, and it bumped back up to 4.
The funny thing is, 5. I didn't even realize. So, like, it took me, like, a good 10 minutes after the play happened, and I was like, wait, that was 5? Oh, shit, the line was 5. And I was like, wait, I had it at 4.5, though.
Yeah.
Like, my dumb brain didn't, like, figure out why people were freaking out.
Oh, my God. This has been the Game Theory Podcast. We were sponsored by Hims. Please go use forhims.com/game theory. We'll be back later this week with something on probably the NBA. I haven't talked about the NBA on this podcast enough over the course of the last week. But until next time, we'll talk soon. Bye.